And we're back. Mike Cernovich, Danger and Play, Gorilla Mindset. Today, today we had a fucking mutiny. A mutiny at Danger and Play. It was great. I loved it. So we did a guest proposal on a man wrote an article, Why I Broke Up with a Gorgeous Woman. The link is down below. You can click on it. And wow, when I was editing it, I had my own thoughts about it. And I thought, it's a little bit navel gazing, which isn't usually what I do. But I liked it because, a man was in a relationship with a woman. He thought that she was everything that he wanted. And then he went through the thought process of why I broke up with her. And I thought, yeah, this is a little bit of navel gazing. It's a little bit what I would call like the therapeutic culture. But it was a cool perspective and it was well written. And it was a perspective on, here's what I had. I was in a relationship. And the way I would put it is, he said the relationship was 84%. And he isn't an 84% kind of guy, and he's a 100% relationship. So I thought, cool, we'll run it. I thought I would do okay. And the guys went fucking crazy. Hated it. Not all of them. But a lot of guys hated it. But you know what else? A lot of guys loved it. So we got 10 little lessons on writing about nonfiction writing about relationships, writing about your life. And we'll kind of tie it all together. And it'll help more if you've already read the post. Otherwise, it'll be a lot of inside baseball. So one is, ending relationships is hard. Nobody wants to admit it. And most of the commenters who are the angriest are either young guys or they're not in long-term relationships. But there was a great comment by somebody who was a little bit older, and he said, who here has been in a relationship where they wanted the other person to fuck up so that they could end it? I sure have. Well, why? Why don't you just end it? Why don't you just be an alpha male and just end it? But when you say things like that, you really reveal a lot about yourself. You ever been followed? You ever have anybody show up your doorstep crying? Have you ever had somebody that just won't leave? Call the cops. It's one of those things where it's like you just don't get it. It's just not that easy to break up with a person, even if the person isn't a psychopath. They don't. At least if you're high value, and that's where there's always this like contradiction in the men's side of the internet. All these guys like, I'm so alpha, bro, that when I want to break up with a girl, I just break up with her. Well, if you're that alpha, she isn't going to want to go. That's how I know who is sort of telling the truth and who's sort of full of shit. It's like, well, no, if you're that alpha, or you're that great, or you're that much of a catch, you just don't say, well, I want to break up, and she's like, okay, to her, you're the best the best man she's ever going to have. They just don't go away. They promise to change. They promise to do whatever you want to do. They'll bring girls home for you. They'll do anything to keep you. So this whole idea like, well, I'm so alpha that I just kick a bitch to the curb like that. Well, okay, then you're not really that alpha. Because if you were that alpha, she wouldn't just go. It is just not that simple. And unless you've lived it, the easier it is to get rid of her, and the quicker she moves on, that kind of tells you what your real sort of, there's a phrase people use, sexual marketplace value. So if you break up with a girl, she cries, and like a week or two later, she's kind of gone on. Well, you probably got lucky. You're probably a beta, and sometimes you hit above your league. Sometimes you do it. Because if you're really that fucking good, they just don't leave. So ending a relationship is hard because you essentially have to destroy a person's soul. Unless you're a legitimate sociopath, which I'm not, which my friend Townsend isn't, it's not that simple. So, a lot of times what guys do when they leave comments that they think are hurting people, a lot of the comments people left, they're kind of hurtful. I always delete those comments. I don't have any kind of patience for that because it tells me more about you and your relative value than other people. If you're, well, I just want to hate this guy and hurt this person and talk about how alpha I am and how I just dump women like that, okay, well, you've actually told me more through your conduct than you did through your comment. You told me you're full of shit because it's just not that easy. Ending a relationship is hard. It's hard on you. And even this isn't even about a scarcity mindset. This is even if you know that you can get other women. It's just knowing that you're going to fucking destroy a person. Man, that's not fun. You know, if you're Bill Clinton, well, he was a sociopath, but Monica Lewinsky never was able to move on because she was with Bill Clinton. Because he's, way at the top of the food chain. And when a woman is with the man at the top of the food chain, they just don't go away peacefully. So if you say shit like, yeah, I'm so fucking alpha, I just dump these bitches like that, that's what you told me. But you know what I really heard? You ain't shit. Second point is, why so angry? I don't mind anger, but the idea that you want to ask yourself is, if you read something and you're fucking outraged, like, why do you care that this guy wrote somewhat of a navel-gazing article about his fears and inadequacies and his insecurities? It isn't the kind of thing I would run every day at Danger and Play. It isn't the way I approach life. But I had no anger to the article. I read it and I was like, yeah, it's a little navel-gazing, I think. Yeah, I think he's missing a few points here, but I like it. I still liked it. Why would you get angry? You got to think what that says about you. The law of reflection, right? A lot of times your emotions, right, and your emotional response to something, it's a reflection. There's something you see. Maybe you feel like you're afraid. Maybe you feel like you're vulnerable. And when you see that in the article, that's why you're angry. That's what I would ask yourself. The third point is, this is kind of like, I don't know, inside baseball. I won't talk about it too much, but I really don't like it when guys say, I've read your site for months, and then they leave like an angry comment. Okay, your first comment is angry. You've read my site for months. You never left a positive comment. What does it say about you? It's kind of like weird. Sometimes the guys are trolling. They'll say, I've read your stuff for a long time, and it's like a stealth troll. But then other times, that's just like their mindset. Their mindset is, I just can't read things and contribute positively to discussion. But if I don't like something, boy, I'm going to lash out about it. So I don't know. Think about that. If that describes you, your first comment is to let people know how angry you are. What does it say about you? And if your first comment at Danger and Play is an angry one, well, I sure hope you bought Gorilla Mindset. Because if you've been reading something for months and you like it, and you can't even leave a nice comment before leaving an angry one, I hope you're doing something to express your gratitude, because that's the reality, man. It's your mindsets and expressing your mindset. Fourth point is, writing means you're gonna fucking get hate, right? I don't consider a lot of the comments to the article hate. There's a line between hate and legitimate criticism. A lot of it is legitimate criticism. It was phrased differently than I would phrase it, but there are actual points. A lot of people are saying, well, this is just sort of therapeutic, therapy culture nonsense. Well, maybe not, but that's a legitimate point. But some people are just like, I want to throw up. Don't post stuff like that. I don't need to hear it. I don't care about it. That doesn't add anything to the conversation. It says more about you than anyone else. But some people there are people who love that article. I really liked it. I had a bunch of people say, wow, this is so great. I bookmarked it. I thought about this before too, but I know how to express it. That's what a writer does. A writer expresses what other people are thinking, but they can't put into words, or they're afraid to put into words. So that's powerful writing. If your writing isn't attracting people who really like you and people who really don't like it, because again, that law of reflection, right? Nobody hates me. I don't have a single person who hates me. Because what do I do that is hate-worthy? Really, I post some off-color tweets, crack a few jokes. What do I actually do that is hate-worthy? They hate themselves. There's something about me that makes them feel a certain way. It reflects back. So that's really all it is. So if you have a powerful message and you have your own message, that is going to reflect back on people. You're going to have people hate you, but you're going to have people love you too. And that's just all in the game. Next one is a different style of writing. So I would encourage you to compare Townsend's article with like Gorilla Mindset. The way I write is very much, here's a problem I had, here's how I solved it, here's how you can solve it, bullet points, instructions, everything that you possibly need. Townsend is a little bit more what I would call like traditional psychology or traditional sort of self-help. He just sort of says, yeah, I had fears and I'm overcoming my fears. Well, I would ask Townsend, what specific steps are you taking to overcome your fears? What are 4 things you did to overcome your fears, right? That's what people want to see. That's what at least, you guys want to see, that stuff. His style of writing is a little different, but does it work? Well, I mean, judge by the comments. It isn't my kind of writing, but it worked. Massive page views, massive engagement, a lot of comments, invoked a reaction in people. It works. Different style of writing, not for me, but hey, the way I write isn't the only way to write. That's another thing you want to think about. Find your own writing style. Next one would be, fear. Okay, so we talked about that. Is the rules kind of on this side of the internet, the danger in play, the gorilla mindset is, if you're going to end a relationship with a woman because you're afraid, you have to say, here's my fear, here's how I overcame it, here's how you can overcome it, step by step. That's kind of, that's what people want. But sometimes it's a little too tidy, Life is sometimes a work in progress. But if you're going to write, especially if you're going to write for men, that's what men want. The problem with self-help is most self-help is for women. That's why what I could do is called how-to. How-to. Every article, here's how to do something. And today's article wasn't really as much of a how-to. It's more like that self-help. And if you read self-help books, that's kind of the flowery style. And the reason for that is it can kind of free the reader from accountability. So you could read Townsend's article today and think, yeah, I'm going to overcome my fears, and then wake up the next day and not change your life. Whereas if you read Gorilla Mindset, I say, if you do not do these exercises, you have wasted your time and your money. You need to do these. Well, that's, it's accountability. That isn't what everybody wants. That said, different strokes for different strokes. There's a lot of people buying books out there, write for somebody else. Eighth point is life is dynamic, guys. So, that is the takeaway that I got from Townsend's article, which is why I really liked it. Life is dynamic. It isn't just, okay, I had a fear, I overcame it, here's how you can overcome it, and we all lived happily ever after. It's more like, well, here's how I had a fear, here's how I overcame it, and then this happened, and then, oh shit, I was a little bit afraid again, but then I applied the things that I talked about here earlier, and then I overcame it, and then, oh shit, that's life. You never get rid of fear. You're always afraid. You're always dynamic. The other month, I was in Thailand and I was swimming in the water. And you know how there's a point where you're swimming in the ocean and you just can sense, oh fuck, this water is deep. And then what happens? Your brain runs wild. What if there's a shark under me? What if there's an undercurrent that grabs me? What if I pass out? There's 100 things that run through your head. Maybe it isn't for the water or swimming for you. Maybe it's something else. But I just said to myself, okay, just swim to the end of the barrier. And as I got closer and closer to the barrier, I was afraid. Now, why would I be afraid? There was no sharks in the water. I mean, there always could be, but statistically, you're not going to get eaten by a shark or bit by a shark. It's all unconscious. So then I got in the moment. I performed all the gorilla mindset exercises. I looked. I just watched the waves, And I got in the moment, and then I was fine. But it isn't like, okay, well, I'll never be afraid again. No, right? If I got in the water again, swam another lap, I'm going to have the same fears, but of a lesser intensity, So you got to realize that, guys. Life is dynamic. You never conquer your fears, right? Overcome your fear. Well, you're going to overcome one, and then you're going to push yourself harder, and then you're going to have another one. That's just life. There's no happily ever after. It's not as quick and easy as you want it to be. It's a work in progress. And to me, that keeps life interesting. Otherwise, it'd be boring. The next one is motivation and drama. Man, today's article will be one of the top 3 articles in 2015. And it might have the most traffic on any single day of any other article. So once you factor in SEO and a lot of the passive income articles, it won't be, because an article like this won't be the kind of article picked up by the search engine. So it won't be the biggest in page views overall, but it'll be probably the debut most read post. What does that say? People like to read about breakups, love, fear. And as much as people got angry about that, there's something about you who are angry that draws you to it. Well, what is that, right? That's why I always tell you guys, law of reflection. What is it? what is it saying about you? That you're drawn to that, and you want to argue, and you want this guy to feel like a piece of shit. Well, why do you want him to feel this way? What's going on? Could be he's just wrong, and you want him to know it, but, think about it. That's what you always want to do, think about it, because it is your own life, and we're all a little bit different. Just try to figure out, well, why am I drawn to this? Especially if you're drawn to it to say how much you don't like it. Reflect. Who knows? I don't know why that is, but why is that? The next one is last point 10. The game never ends, guys. That was another reason I really like that article. The younger guys, I just want to find a woman. You find a good woman. You find 3 women. It never ends, guys. I fucked so many women. And Sean is out of town. I could be going out and doing whatever, and I have just no interest. You change, but the game does never end. The game never ends. What you think you want today, you might not want tomorrow. If you think you're getting a good relationship, well, the relationship it's never stagnant, right? It's another person. And then even if you're not with that person, you're single again, if you're growing as a human being, you're not the same person. You're going to change. Your needs are going to change. What you're going to want to do is going to change. And that was what I liked about that article that we did today, is Townsend's article. The game don't end. You think you found the one, or maybe you have 5, you have a harem, You think you found the right 5 or 10 girls, or you think, I'm going to be a bachelor for my whole life. Okay. I'm here to tell you the game never ends, and that's why people who are in this long enough aren't writing about the same stuff. Look what I was writing about 5 years ago. Look what anybody, and I call it like our side of the internet, right? It's kind of like our little clique. Look at what people are writing about 5 years ago. They're not writing about the same shit today. Why is that? Well, because they've changed. And in fact, you can usually spot the frauds because they are writing the same thing. It's like a script, because they're not real, authentic people. They have a persona they created, and they're not growing. Because let's just say you're one of those, the guys like to call themselves the international alpha playboy. Okay, well, if you're truly into international alpha playboy, and you have all this money you claim, then you're going to have more money every year, which means that your party experiences are going to be different, right? You're going to go from I'm a international alpha playboy level 1 to I'm Dan Bilzerian, right? But you don't really see that, do you? You don't see how they change. 10 years from now, it'll be the same thing, talking about the same place. But if you're really an international alpha playboy, well, by now you should be flying private jets, right? That would just come up. You know what I'm saying? So those people aren't real. The real people are going to write about different shit. 5 years from now, I'm going to be writing about different things. I'm going to have different desires. I might, in 5 years, think, well, fuck, dude, you got a week, 2 weeks trip. You need to go bang 50 girls. Who knows? It doesn't mean, that's why I don't say there's no right way or wrong way. I don't think because I just want to do this video and go to bed rather than go out and try to fuck whores that I'm better than you, because I've wanted to do that before. Maybe in a year I'll want to do it, but that's because you're going to change. That's the whole point. The game don't ever end. That's why you can't quit putting work in, because you might think you can quit the game, but the game is never going to quit you. So let me know what you think. Post your comment down here, or go read the post at Danger and Play and post your comment there. But don't tell me that the article made you vomit, because that's just dumb. Think before you post. Talk to you soon. Maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow.